Check 1, 2. Yo. You fit for check. Yo, it's Piano Dude. How dare you? How dare you call me that? All right, so there's a glaring sun outside, so I've put the blinds down. Let's see. What's the angle we're looking for here? Let's start with the front angle. Hello. Welcome to the Feedback Friday stream. Look at my hair. I got my hair cut. So my favorite barbershop that I usually go to, or that I've been going to since I moved to Milwaukee, is not open yet, but my girlfriend, I just got out of the shower, so it probably doesn't look very good yet. But my girlfriend gave me a nice little haircut. Anyways, how's everyone doing on Friday, on this fine Friday? Wow, that's a nice painting. Hey, I read that message before I saw who wrote it. That's so funny. Yeah, it is indeed a very nice painting, Psychedeliscope. So I still haven't built my bed yet. But yeah, for now I've put the painting here. I'm probably gonna end up hanging it somewhere closer to like above the bookshelf over there. It might be kind of hard to tell. I mean, the room is pretty small, but I was thinking of hanging it over here. Martin, you're sitting on a chair. I know, it's appalling. But yeah. So those are actually just the door handles of the Murphy bed. So like it won't normally live there. I'm thinking of putting it over here. Somewhere around there so people can still see it when I stream. All right. So, yeah, it would look good, but the camera can't deal with the brightness range like that. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with these things. They've been looking kind of worse in this apartment, I feel like. The contrast is just a little too much for it to handle. Anyways, guys. I hope y'all are doing well today. So it looks like you live on the surface of the sun. Don't expose me like that, dude. People weren't ready for that yet. All right. So today is Friday, so we're going to do feedback. Oh my god. So before we get into this, so I'm going to give you guys the raffle keyword. So it's exclamation mark Martin sucks. So yeah, so it's just all lowercase, exclamation mark Martin sucks. MARTINSUCKS. But while you guys do the raffle shindig thingy, wait, what was I gonna say? I feel like I had something to say, but I can't remember what it was. I was gonna say, like, I haven't had the time yet to clean up the aftermath of my haircut, so maybe I can try to show you guys some of that. So we did it on my balcony, so just to beware of the ridiculous amount of sun that's about to come in here. Ah! Wrong way. Oh my lord! It looks crazy out here today. What the hell is going on? It is looking wild. Looks like there's a wildfire out there or something. Can you guys see the bits of hair on the floor? Or on the ground there? Probably not. Oh, it was worth a try. Yeah, it is looking really weird out there today. I don't know what's going on outside. Whew. All right, let's get this feedback stream. Let's go. I'm ready. Feedback, feedback, feedback. Okay. Let's see. So switch it to. Should I switch it to this? And that way people can watch like the SoundCloud player along. Okay, so I'm going to roll. I'm gonna roll. Let's do it. Also, I'm gonna check real quick. Did I start late today? Or I don't quite remember if I said 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. CST. Oh, it is 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. CST. Okay, cool. I thought it was late. Okay, let's roll this. Boom. THC. Is that the Dragon Ball Z logo there? Apologies if that's not the case. It is? Nice. You might want to get clearance to use that. Alright, let's check this out. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just gonna reload it in a sec here. So this is Winter Final Mix 3 by Indian Mamba. Coffee counter is at 3. It's been a busy day so far. I like this. Sorry, one sec. I think for feedback streams, this might make more sense. You don't need to see all that white. This is great. I love the vibe. So what are you looking for feedback on this, or did you just want to share share this tune? Okay, so I think mixing wise, I would like to hear, because it sounds very, it sounds friendly. Like I think there's maybe some, hey, Kashav, thank you so much for the sub, man. Here's a little riff for you. Okay, so sorry, back to the critiquing. I would say the mix. I think one thing that I would like to hear maybe is for nothing sounds bad in the mix right now, but I think it lacks character. I think from like a general overview perspective, like I like the vibe and the progression of the track works, and it's very friendly. But I think if you went a little more in depth with let's say some interesting processing, and you started just kind of like messing with the sounds a bit more while still trying to get them to work with each other, you might end up with some really cool results. And I mean that in terms of you know, like maybe playing around with different saturation settings, different reverb settings. I noticed that some of the percussion is a little bit dry, which is okay, but I think like you want it to at least be in some kind of spatial place for usually. But yeah, I would just experiment a little bit more, because what you have here sounds great, and I think if you just mess around, just literally just throw effects on stuff and just see what happens. That's at least what has worked for me in the past. Is like I'll start hearing something being brought out in a specific sound that I hadn't noticed before, that I kind of like. And obviously accidents can often make for great creative additions to pieces that you're working on. You know, some of my best ideas are accidents, and because they can often bring out something unexpected. And yeah, it's usually the unique things that we're drawn to when listening to music. But well, obviously familiar things too. But anyways, that's my feedback for you. I really think that like that you've written a good piece of music here, and you've nailed a very specific, like very like tranquil, but you've got like a relaxing groove here, and I feel like that vibe is nailed, and I think you were just ready to like start like polishing it up. So that's what I would do if I were you. All right, you're more than welcome. Thanks for sending that in, THC. Let's roll on to the next one. Also, sorry about the noises in the background. I'm currently washing the shirt that I was wearing when my hair was getting cut, along with the towels and other stuff that ended up getting hair all over them. I'm on a boat. What is up? How dare you have noises? Can you hear them? I feel like they're really loud. I also have my AC on, but maybe I have a noise gate. I think I've got a noise gate. Hello again, Martin. We meet again, I'm on a boat. What's your real name? I see you in the chat all the time. You don't have to tell me if you don't want, because it's obviously being live streamed, but if you don't care, it would be good to know. So this is Prismatic by I'm on a Boat. Mostly interested in mixing mastering chips on this. Okay. Okay, that's a change of pace here. Okay, so I like what you got so far. That's cool. I like that you're willing to take that kind of like thematic risk with the tune and go from like a more like melodic, chilled out vibe into this kind of more like slightly more aggressive vibe. But it's still melodic. You got the chords in there and stuff, and the sound design from earlier. It adds a nice variation. So. I don't know. This is kind of tough. I mean, if you're looking for mixing, mastering advice, you know, I could like piece things apart a little bit by listening to it over and over again. I mean, for example, the snare is a bit dull, and more specifically, I feel like there's a lot of like high-end information that would be nice to hear in there. I think more prevalent than that, though, might be if you're not using sidechaining, I would definitely recommend doing that. I think that could help a lot, and so I would try to focus on making sure you are sidechaining specifically the frequencies of your kick and your snare if you can. I don't necessarily always do this, but you know, if you really want to dig into the nitty gritty of getting a good mix, I find that often just doing like multi-band sidechaining is really, really, really great for that, because yeah, I mean, it's just so powerful to be able to sidechain only the frequencies that your kick drum is occupying versus sidechaining the entire volume of anything and everything. It can be a stylistic choice, of course, and there's a lot of music out there, specifically EDM, of course, that almost relies on just sidechaining everything, because yeah, that's just kind of like just the nature of the music as part of the style. So everything has to be like super upfront. But if you're not really necessarily looking to do that, I would 100% recommend looking into something like, I think it's called Wave Spacer, for example. That's a good plugin I've heard of that was recommended to me a while ago. I think you can use, I don't think Pro C is multiband, but you can use stuff like Pro MB by FabFilter. I think there's a way to route signals into that to have that sidechain. I personally don't do that because I actually favor Pro MB is just a little bit too high in CPU for me to just have in my template. So like I don't really do that much. I might do it at the end of the like end stages of mastering or mixing a track. But anyways, so those are some thoughts for you right there. I think your kick has a lot of mids that could probably be removed. In my experience, this kind of comes down to just picking a bell point curve on FabFilter EQ and just looking around in the mids and start scooping stuff out, and just start scooping out different frequencies and seeing how that affects the sound. I do think there's some, the impact of the kick could be just fine, but still, while making it a bit more friendly to the track by getting rid of some of the mids. Also, the track feels like, I think you could benefit from maybe having some stuff that's, again, a big thing in music, I think, is like spatial awareness. And like a lot of your mix is super dry right now, I would say. Like you do kind of have stuff that's louder and quieter, but it's all very dry. And I think that you could benefit a lot by taking some of the peripheral sounds, for example, and seeing what it sounds like trying to put them in, like a large space or something, like just experimenting with different reverb settings might be helpful as well. I'll give that a shot. I've got some sidechaining in there, but it's not so in your face for sure. I'm a fan of like subtle sidechaining for sure. But yeah, that's my feedback for you, buddy. I hope that it's gonna help you wrap it up. If looks like it's an old tune, finish it, man. I know the struggle all too well with trying to get a track over the finishing line, but yeah, I would definitely encourage you to finish it. It looks like you've got a fairly finished piece here. Oh yeah, and this synth too, I forgot to mention, there's a bunch of mid information in this synth that you should absolutely, you should compress fairly heavily with a multi-band compressor like Pro MB. That's just what I use. You can use, of course, whatever you want, but I isolate those lower mids and mids in general. They're a bit loud. I think you can tone them down a notch. I would first compress them and then reduce them because it sounds like they have some pretty big peaks. So EQing alone, I don't think will really get the job done. I think you want to level out the frequency a bit first and then reduce it in volume. So that's what I would do with that little synth. And that's the perfect example of that synth specifically. If you have a compressor after the fab filter, Pro MB as well, then before that chain of those compressors, you could add just a little bit of a reverb, like some like Pro R or Ableton's native reverb or something, because I think this synth for sure could sit in like a larger space. It feels like it's just being played like doom 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 doom, like right in front of your face. But I feel like it's got more. I feel like it would have a little more character if you experimented with that. But yeah. Anyways, just some thoughts. No need to take it too seriously. Well, this version of the track was uploaded 3 days ago, but I tossed the first mix of it up like 5 months ago. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, good luck, man. And yeah, I'm excited to hear about whether you finish it. Let me know in the chat in the coming weeks if you do end up finishing it up. I'd love to know. Cool. Let's roll it to the next one. Voila. It's me, True Blue. Haywyre, are you still living in Vancouver? I am not. I live in Milwaukee currently. You guys are on it with the links these days. Okay. This is the Midnight, the Comeback Kid True Blue remix.
I've been so low, felt the wind blow like I was a screen door in a thunderstorm. Yeah, I've been down, you've been laid out, but you always were what I came here for. Waiting all day, just for my sake, for a bell to ring, for the first sting.
Kashif, you can send whatever you wanted for critique, feedback.
It's you, my friend, why get up again? I made mistakes and I've been hard hit. I say, so what if I did? I'm the clear eye, I'm the comeback kid. Started over again. I'm the comeback
like it. It's really upbeat. Kind of like a euphoric, triumphant, feel good vibe. Yeah. So let's see. The feedback you were looking for was mixing and mastering related.
Like ours, a screen door.
So there are some, sometimes when people ask for feedback, unfortunately, since I don't have like much formal experience with producing, I work like solely by ear. So, you know, if I were to listen to those vocals, and I'd have them loaded up in Pro MB, like I swear I'm not that good with exact frequency ranges, but I swear there's some stuff in your higher mids and the low highs that you could get rid of. So it's kind of ambiguous, I know, but I would just really try to focus on, this is already released, so never mind. But I think maybe in the future that's something to kind of double check, because I think there are some frequencies you can definitely fine tune still in the vocal that are in that range.
In a thunderstorm, yeah, I've been down, you've been laid out, but you always were what I came here for. Waiting all day, just for my sake, for a bell to ring.
I think this might be more of a stylistic thing, but I think something softer than a clap snare could be kind of nice for during the intro, because I feel like that snare sounds a little bit. It's got kind of like the tail of a clap, and it's hitting, I think, just a little bit too, maybe just a little bit too aggressively for where the song is at that point.
The first sting, yeah,
maybe also stylistic choice, but I really like this part, and I think one of the things I noticed about this right off the bat, for some reason I feel like this section would have been great just with the kick drum initially.
You, my friend, why get up again? I made mistakes and I've been hard hit. I say so what?
You also have a lot of stereo information in the bass, and there's not much. I feel like there's not nearly as much stereo information in the rest of the song. So I think that would have been something that would have been really cool, is to maybe tame the stereo a little bit on the stereo information on the bass and the like mids and lower mids and stuff, or maybe introduce more stereo like trickles and like arps and stuff in the background, like chimes and textures and things that are kind of like tickling your the stereo info a little bit. But back to the percussion, I think I made mistakes and I've been hard hit. I say so what? I think you could have maybe potentially had the threshold for the compressor a little bit lower for the side chaining. I think that there's just the tiniest amount of conflict between the kick drum and the bass. And then another thing I would mention too is that the clap is kind of getting lost in the mix, which is why I think maybe I thought that it would have been cool to hear that section initially just with the kick drum. But it is getting a little bit lost in the mix, I would say. I think partially because partially a volume thing, but I think also partially because maybe it doesn't have enough high-end information. I say so what? So what if I did? I'm the clear eye, I'm the comeback kid. Yeah, I'm not sure. I do think it just needs to be more pronounced. It's not very, very like audible in the mix currently. It might just be a volume thing, but maybe some volume subtle EQ kind of stuff would help shape it to be a bit closer further in the front of the mix. I feel like right now it's just kind of in this weird in between where it feels like it's kind of there, but it's also kind of not there. So I think I would have preferred to just hear it a little bit more up front. And this section is cool. You switch to like this more acoustic drum kit I hear. Or sorry. like a different drum kit, not acoustic. But so what would have been really cool, I think, because this is obviously a little bit of a switch up section before the energy gets even higher here, right? Which is great. So I think that's totally a great compositional tool, right? You introduce the groove of the track, and you got like these cool vocals and stuff happening, a really upbeat vibe, and then you continue that without the drums, and then you reintroduce the drums once the obviously a huge driving force in music like this, but yeah, you bring them back in once you've got progress the track to a point where there's more energy. But anyways, I would have probably cut out a good chunk of the low end here, because I feel like you want maybe just a little bit more contrast between something like this. Like, there is a nice amount of contrast currently, but I think if you just tamed the low end for this section just a little bit, that could have been cool, because it also sounds like there's no more sidechain for the drums here anymore either. So that kind of tells me that you were treating it as a little bit of a transitional section, you know, where the drums aren't hitting as hard as the like that intro drum section here or here. So I think you were already kind of designing it in that way, and it would have been pretty cool to I think maybe just tone down a little bit of the low end in that bass to create more of a impact for the low end once the pops back in. And again, I'm not trying to overwhelm you with feedback here. I'm just I got some thoughts for you. So I hope it doesn't bother you, but I do think there are some mids in your kick as well that you could probably experiment with getting rid of. I think like it's not really the end of the world, because it helps with the impact and it's really driving the song, obviously. And at the end of the day, if there's anything in dance music that can be too loud, it's drums. You know, because that's kind of the driving force in dancing is rhythm. So ultimately, when it comes to mixing priorities, it's much better to have loud drums than loud most of everything else. For a lot of dance music, not necessarily for pop. Pop is a different thing. I feel like pop is definitely more vocal oriented, but yeah. So it's not the end of the world, but I would potentially consider taming some of those mids a bit. But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got for you. Thanks for sharing that. True Blue. Okay, so we're 3 down. Let's keep it going. Rolling again. Coyote music. Coyote. But there is something important. Did I miss something in chat? No. I'm getting trolled. Time to confuse Martin with the highlighted message. I'm just too predictable. I just get worried that I'm missing something. I was in a... No, you're fine, man. Yeah, I was in a really weird mood yesterday, and I feel so much better today. And the funny thing is, all I did was clean my apartment. Like, I had moved in here on Saturday, and I had all this work I needed to do pretty much right after getting here. So I was just kind of like building furniture and like doing chores that I didn't really actually want to do. Just, you know, getting the place settled, putting things away, unpacking, and that kind of stuff. And I felt like I never really had time to actually clean the place. And I was in just such a bad mood yesterday, not feeling creative and productive, really. And then I woke up today and I was like, you know what? I'm going to clean the place. And I just started vacuuming everything and was listening to Tame Impala, just like jamming out and cleaning. And it was just so therapeutic. And yeah, TLDR, cleaning is dope. Okay, so this is Aquamarine by Coyote. Ooh. The raffle should be open to join still. Ooh. It's a cool sim. Wait, is this not 442 hertz? Sounds like it's slightly off. Interesting. I'd love to jam on it, but I can't. Hold on, let me try to pull up Serum. Huh. Very cool track. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I don't really have much feedback here. It's a pretty unique tune. I think one thing I would like to hear personally is I wish it was just squashed a bit more. I think your release time on the sidechain could be maybe totally a personal choice here, of course, as with everything I say, just, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But I would like to see the sidechain being a little bit shorter so that the more audible rhythm that you hear is like it's always that first note after the kick drum hits that is just a little bit too quiet, in my opinion, personally. That's why I mentioned that. That synth is really cool. And I think that clap could definitely be a bit louder. Definitely kind of hiding in the back of the mix. If you had a fat little clap hanging out in there, I think this would be have an even fatter bounce. And the halftime section here is cool too. Yeah, that's great, man. I think it's cool. I think it's a great little house / hip hop kind of like synthy hybrid you got going here. I like it. I like it. That's all I got. I don't really have anything else to say. I think it's a cool tune. Sweet. Thanks for sharing that, dude. All right, let's roll again. Jake Durs. Jake Durs. Boats with the fur. We'll give him a brief moment here to find a link if he's around. In the meantime. That is funny. Yeah. So that track must be 50 cents sharp compared to standard Western tuning. So guys, I just pretty much finished up my sample pack the other day. I'm pretty excited. One thing I hadn't included that I forgot about was a few vocoder licks. I hadn't recorded anything like that before. Somehow I forgot to do that for the sample pack, but that is going to be in there as well. Man, I've put so much stuff in it. So I put you know, these I put a lot of melodic loops, a lot of melodic phrases or licks per se, melodic one shots. I've got percussion loops, percussion one shots. I've got Foley. I've got vocal samples. I've got MIDI. There's so much stuff in there. Given that, you know, it's my first sample pack, so like I didn't do like thousands. I'm keeping it pretty small, but I feel like the quality of the stuff is good. Cool. So this is Misunderstanding by Jake Durs. This is cool. So interesting. I was just listening to a bunch of Tame Impala, and I feel like with the right execution, this could be potentially something similar to a Tame Impala song. There's maybe a little bit of room for additional licks and fills, but already a lot of stuff in the background that you got going. I would really like to hear a very, like, it'd be fun to have a little a catchy phrase after that vocal. You know, something like that. Anyways, so I think the idea is cool. I like where you're headed with it. Looks like you may have already made this public, but I think this is a similar thing as I think what I mentioned at the beginning of the stream to another person I was giving feedback to. I think my recommendation on like just high level for what you're doing here is to dig deeper. And by that I mean, you know, you've got the idea there, and I think it's good. I think it's cool. I just think it needs to be executed even more convincingly. So by that I mean that I think you're gonna have to maybe, because it's a pretty unique style, like this track. So I think you know, before I try to say like, oh, you know, change this in the mix or do this and that with this sound, it sounds like you're definitely kind of on your in a pretty unique realm here with this kind of vibe. So yeah, my recommendation is to just add more character. Like things are sounding like fairly plain. So I could try to pick things apart a little bit. You could potentially have a little bit sidechaining going on. If there is some, it's very subtle. There's also a lot of stereo information in the low end for that little bass pluck thing, and I feel like that's a little bit too much. I would probably tame that down a little bit. So with I guess the first thing that I noticed actually was the vocoder. So vocoders are super tricky because you can run into a lot of issues mix wise with all the crazy resonant peaks that you get with them. But that's just because vocals can kind of be like that too. But it often feels worse with vocoders. So first of all, I think that you're missing a lot of mids in your vocoder. I think you could totally if you took like a Pro Q, and if you low pass your track at like, I don't know, maybe like 5K or something, or maybe a little bit lower, like 3K, I think you would barely be able to hear the vocoder. I feel like so much of the information for the vocoder you have right now is all like high ends, high mids. I think you can reintroduce a lot of mids in general for the vocoder to help kind of equalize it a little bit more. You don't want it to sound like there's a sub playing along with it. Like, you don't want to boost the low end necessarily, but I just think that it sounds like a little bit just like shh shh shh, like it's all this like high end stuff, but there needs to be more body behind it, and I think that's what the mids will give it. So for a section like this, I feel like you got the low end sitting in there, and that's the perfect example of something you could like be sidechaining more to the drums. I don't know if they're being sidechained at all right now, but it doesn't really sound like it. You could totally have some of those background elements could be again, like a lot of it is like sound sculpting, right? It's like sound design. You really have to mess with them, because I think you have like the foundations of your track all here, and it's just a matter of kind of tweaking things to a point where you're selling the idea even more. I think you can take some of those sounds and again, like I said before with other people, like it's a spatial placement thing. Like a lot of these sounds don't really feel like they're in a space. They feel like they're just kind of like these it's hard to describe. It's very dry. I think especially in a section like this where, the sub is coming in and the song is kind of like, has got this more sustained feel to it. It feels like it's like opening up, and it's a bit heightened here. And I feel like you could totally have stuff like maybe the intro, it's kind of purposefully dry and it's like really kind of, that's fine. But I think for a section like this, especially, you want I don't know. I think you could totally benefit by having a lot of reverb and cool spatial placements with a lot of the sounds. So there's just a lot of stuff that I think like details are what can really sell ideas. And I feel like, it's interesting because a lot of the times you can get caught up with how, it's good songs are often like deceivingly simple. Like a lot of the stuff, for example, like you can look at pop music and dissect it compositionally, like quite quickly. And even from a compositional standpoint, obviously there's plenty of pop music that is pretty complicated, not exceptionally complicated by any means, but not like your, there's just interesting stuff in the pop world from a compositional perspective too. But once you start paying attention to the details of like what's going on with the sound placements and like the like in terms of like spatially, like with like reverb and and like obviously EQing and like mix wise, volume wise, what's happening, like all those little things, and like how are the transients hitting and the drums, and like how there's just so many little things that help make a song good, that it's hard to keep track of all of them. But I do think that you have I do think you have a cool piece of music here. I just think that if you go into the nitty gritty and you take the time to analyze, maybe even listen to some music that really inspires you and try to like listen to back yours and theirs. I do that all the time. I love taking inspiration from sound design and composing techniques from other people, and all creative stuff is derivative, so there's no shame in that. And I think it's totally a great exercise. Download a wave of a song that you think sounds incredible, put it side to side your track, and you know, even go as far as to maybe slap some different like EQs on both of them. So for example, if you're in Ableton, one thing that I love doing is you know, you import your track and your reference track. And I do reference mixing quite frequently I even use my old music as a reference too, because, you know, I mean, I often try to master to make sure that, you know, my catalog stays somewhat consistent. And so there aren't tracks that are suddenly like way quieter or way louder than my other stuff. It's kind of beside the point here. But if you have a reference track, you know, even like snag like a Pro Q, several instances of it on each one, and then do things like have a low pass, have a high pass, isolate the mids, isolate just the sides, isolate just the mono information, and then link those with the key links. So kind of like this. So I've got this Pro Q on the master, for example, then press Control K, and then you know, have like the high pass, or sorry, have like the low pass on one, for example. And so then just muting and unmuting those to compare specific frequency ranges too is like super, super helpful. And that makes a massive difference. So I don't know. Yeah. I guess my feedback with this stuff often is maybe not specific enough. Maybe I need to find a way to be able to get more specific with my terminology that I'm using for feedback, because I feel like I'm kind of just giving suggestions on how to do it on your own, because that's kind of how I learned how to produce. And so I guess I'm just trying to communicate that. Pro Q is very expensive, so I use Fruity Limiter. Yeah, I'm super new to this, so any feedback is appreciated. Word. So honestly, man, this might not be the greatest idea, but I would suggest like take a listen to. I feel like what you're doing is very could be compared to Tame Impala on some level, like an instrumental, like a rough instrumental from a Tame Impala song. I would maybe listen to some of his stuff as reference, because his stuff is produced exceptionally well, in my opinion. And yeah, it could be a cool exercise to try to like put them side by side. If you can't afford those plugins, you know, totally fine. I think you can do the same thing with parametric EQ. I should have read that you're using Fruity Limiter earlier because I started talking about Ableton. But anyways, I hope some of those give you ideas on how to improve the track or your future tracks if this is already out. But yeah, man, all the good luck, and I hope you keep making tunes, because I think yeah, you got some cool ideas. Asmo, what up? What's up, my friend? How much is the sample pack gonna cost? Well, you won't have to get the entire sample pack. You'll be able to preview the sounds, and you'll be able to choose whichever ones you want to get, which is going to make it really affordable. Okay, I got a backing only version. Because I've not been able to get a good recording of vocals. No worries. Take your pick. Let's just do the one with mostly looking for advice on mastering and mixing. Damn, everybody wants. I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice on that. I got some suggestions for sure. Okay, so this is Ride by Asmo. I like the chord progression loop that you have going. That's cool. I like that it's picking up here. Cool. So, I like it. I feel like it's a very. I feel like the drums are actually a big surprise in the track, which is nice to hear that contrast. Yeah, I feel like things really pick up when the drums pop in there. So. I would say, I keep saying this to people today for some reason, but it's been true for everyone that I'm saying it to. I think you'd could benefit from getting a bit more creative with your sound design, and I don't mean that necessarily in terms of like what wavetables you're using or like what synths you're using. I mean just adding like subtle processing, you know. Like literally you can throw like an RC20 on this synth, for example, and flip through some presets on there. And I'm sure something will add a nice like warmth or a little bit of a character or something that makes it even more interesting. Cause I feel like right now, I like that riff that you got. I think it's cool. I just think that there's not too much going on here. So there's only a few sounds happening. So that means that those few sounds I think should be really, really strong and really good. And so there's so much room to breathe. You can really hear what all of them sound like. So I think having some more character on those would be great. And that I think really comes down to a lot of experimenting and just finding what you think sounds good. And then another thing I would say is that I think it would be nice to hear this if it was a bit more squashed, like a bit more compressed. Because then I think it would reduce the dynamics a bit, and I think that could be kind of cool for this idea. Yeah, and here, I feel like the loudest elements. Let me listen to it again. So, I feel like it sounds like you have a drum kit, like an acoustic drum kit going on here. And underneath that, you have maybe that kick from before, from the intro, that's playing on top of some of the kick drum hits. And I feel like those two kick drums are conflicting a bit. I would say maybe find a way to isolate the acoustic kick drum and EQ it in a way so it fits with that the intro kick a bit better, or maybe make something altogether new that has some more of that high-end information, because in the intro it's very low pass, of course, and then here it's it gets a bit brighter, which is really nice because of that acoustic drum kit on top. So just making sure that I'm not missing any of your comments. Yeah, it's two different drum kits. Totally, that makes sense. Air Flute Magnus 2 from Ableton. Oh, it's an Ableton sound. Okay. I mean, can I find it by going to sounds? Let's see. Air Flute Magnus 2. Air Flute. Or maybe that's a different one, but that's also none. Anyways, while that's loading, yeah, it is a matter of like character and execution here. Again, I think like you've got a fun idea. I like how progressive it is. You know, you've really got the listener guessing. You don't expect the drums to pop in here, because you've got like this like really like kind of low key little groove going here. The drums are super low pass, so they're not that present. It's mostly just melodies. And I would definitely experiment, like I said before. Spatial placement is so powerful in music, you know, and a lot of that comes down to like what room it sounds like it's in. I don't think you have much like audible, noticeable reverb going on with the track, so it's very dry sounding. Again, could be an intentional thing, but that's something I would experiment with personally if I were you. Oh, it's the background stuff. Yeah. Anyways, so those are some thoughts for you. Hopefully that helps. And I think when the drums pop in, you should have some really big. I think those chords that are playing in the background, those could be brought more to the forefront, because the drums pop in and it is a great moment. But I've kind of want like give me some more mids with those chords. Doesn't have to be piano. Probably better off being a synth. Yeah, you got a lot of room to play around with here. You could do all sorts of stuff with this. Little embellishments, you know, a little ARP in the background going like that. You could have, you know, some string hits here and there, anything really. You got a lot of room to a lot of wiggle room here to add more elements and mess around with. But I like the idea. Lyrically, that's the climax of a song too. Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot that you said you were working on vocals for this. So yeah, best of luck with adding vocals. I think that'll add a nice layer to this for sure. I can see the vocals and the intro helping to keep the listeners entertained. And obviously, once the drums pop in, that helps kind of heighten things up. So yeah, best of luck with getting that wrapped up. So let's do one more, guys, and then I'm gonna have to call it quits. Damn, wait 1 sec. Okay. I'm supposed to have a phone call with my dad really soon, so I don't want to be late to that. He's flying back to Austria, and then time zone differences are going to make it really difficult to talk with him. Okay, so roll a new winner. Let's do one more. Let's make it a good one. Jared Benjamin Lee. Is that a guitar I see? Okay. This is a submission by Jared Lee. Ooh! Luvu, premix, work in progress. I already like it. Keyboard just turned off for no reason. So, I really like the idea. I think you could spice up the chords even more. You know, obviously that's a great loop to start with, and then maybe as the song progresses, you have more flavor popping in. Yeah, so it'd be nice. So currently vocal comping makes a lot of sense because there's so many riffs you could throw on top of this that I'm hearing that would be fun. So that'll help flesh it out big time. So I think the intro is good. All the little like pops and clicks, those are great, really creative stuff. I think I would like to hear this track also being limited a bit more. I know it's obviously a work in progress, but I think it's always nice to feel the power of the song once the dynamic range has been reduced a little bit. Okay, yeah. It'd be cool maybe if if it sounds like this might be the chorus of the song. Okay. It'd be cool if there was a way to contrast the actual chorus with the intro. They sound like they have the exact same elements. So maybe in addition to like the vocals having here. Maybe having like a synth on top that's also playing the chords might be nice. So something like this. I was just hearing something like this. Okay, let's go back to this song. So obviously just sketched it, but I'm just like trying to say like that kind of movement might be really cool. Wow. Maybe something a little more comey. Sorry, I'm just gonna try to do this real quick. Just to see whether I'm crazy or whether this could actually sound cool. And I feel like I really want to hear the one chord you don't have to actually add more chords or anything to this song. It's great as is. One chord I would love to hear in there though is that one. Here, I'll turn it up just a little bit. So just an E major 7 with an F in the bass. Okay, this sounds not that great right now, but I swear it could sound cool in the song. Yeah, some really bad resonance stuff here. Okay, let's go back to the song. Yeah, and then right there, that last little the ending, I feel like would sound great with that chord. I know I sound like shit, but I feel like it's just kind of idiomatic for that writing style, and it could, I don't know, I just think it could be cool. Anyways, that's all I got for you. What is the turnaround you're doing? So I don't think I'm getting the chords here, honestly pretty close to the melody we're doing with the vocals. That's funny. Cool. Well, so I'm just doing because it's kind of hard for me to tell exactly what's going on. I think the bass may not be always playing the written note, but more or less what I'm hearing is like E major, D sharp minor, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, then back to E major, D sharp minor, and then there's that F sharp in the bass, and then the E major 7. That's the chord that I thought could be cool to add in there. Hey, thank you for the sub, Torbate Live. Cool, so that's gonna unfortunately be the end of the stream for now. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And I hope you guys found the feedback helpful. And I'll be back next Friday to do the same thing again. I'm going to call my dad. We're gonna catch up. And then I'm going to finish up my my sample pack tonight. So yeah. Cheers. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Sorry to cut it short. I know the feedback streams in general are usually a bit shorter anyways. But yeah. Hope you guys tune in again on Monday. I'll be back writing some tunes as always. I kind of liked sharing the sketch journal. So I think I'm going to keep doing that on Mondays, is doing sketch journals and then sharing what I made that morning, and then maybe transitioning into doing some other stuff too. So okay. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your night, wherever you guys are, whatever time zone you're in. Drink water, stay healthy, be creative. Peace out.